What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm joined by Mick Rathbone. Can you believe it? Like, fair to say, an Everton legend, a Birmingham-born person as well, just like myself. So we're sticking together. Mick, how are you, mate?
Mate, I'm absolutely freaked out by speaking to somebody with more of a Birmingham accent than me about Everton. Mate, surrealistic.
Oh dear! I tell you what, Mick. We're the inflicted, and you're probably living the high life now. You're probably further up north than I am. I mean, I'm still in Birmingham. I'm stuck here. You're probably not.
No, I've been living in Blackburn, which is to me the Paris of the North. I've been here for 40 odd years now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you've had quite a. I mean, when I look at this sort of the football career and the career that you've had, sort of overall, you've played for a lot of teams beginning with B.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, take us back. Obviously, a little bit about me. You won't know this. Is I played for the Birmingham Youth Academy up until I was 15, and then I broke my knee in a tackle. So
Jeez.
I know what playing for Birmingham can be like, and that's where you started, wasn't it, Mick? What was it like?
Mate, this is like a lifetime ago. In some ways, it was like yesterday. In other times, it's like so far away. So I went to a grammar school in Birmingham in the 70s. I wanted to be a doctor and a footballer. I was a good cross-country runner as well. But in those days, there was no academy.
Yeah.
So you did your schoolwork and you played all the sports, and the football remained a pipe dream.
Yeah.
I was a massive Birmingham City supporter. They were in the top division. Had a good side in them days,
Yeah.
early 70s. Trevor Francis, Howard Kendall, of course, Peter with quite an Everton connection. John Connolly was it, and Archie Styles and that. Left school at 16, much against the wishes of my dad and the headmaster, who wanted me to go to university and medical school to be a footballer. Walked every day from my home in Sheldon to the training ground at the airport. Not many players can do that, walk to the training ground. And the first year was magnificent. All those players whose pictures out on the wall are now with me, around me. Okay, they don't really know I exist, and I'm actually mainly cleaning their boots and mopping up after them. But you know what? I'm in there with them. Yeah. So I'm now a Birmingham player. Big club it was, still is. I did ever so well. I got England Youth International, did well, played in the reserves at 16. And then at 17, got in the first team. It was a massive psychological step up for a lad from just round the corner with all those pictures on the wall. I couldn't cope. I didn't do well. I made my debut at White Hart Lane at 17. I remember being sat in that dugout, and in them days there's one sub. So if somebody gets injured, you're up next, pal. There ain't 10 waiting to go on,
Yeah.
I remember sitting there being frightened to death on a Tuesday night at White Hart Lane, 17 years of age. I developed a habit of counting backwards from 5,400.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you get to naught, the game's over, you can go home. It was going really well. I got to about 300. We were losing 1-0. The noise and, oh, my God, I was sat there, as I say, dreading it
Yeah.
And then I got down to about 300 elephants, 299 elephants. I might get away with this. Then all of a sudden, the left back, Archie Styles, ex-Everton, he came across to the dugout limping, and he launched my career with the famous words, "My groin's gone, get that CUNT on."
You don't have to say it politely on here, mate.
Mate, so I looked to the left, little fat physio. I looked to the right, Willie Bell, the manager. Okay, this one's for you, mate. Oh, my God. I got up to warm up. My legs were like jelly. I ran down the side at the pitch at White Hart Lane, and I went on. I managed to avoid the ball, mainly for the last 7 or 8 minutes, and we got beat 1-0. Because Archie was now injured, I was in, mate. So I made my first full debut at Newcastle on the Saturday. We got beat 3-2. I did okay, Then we played, what was the next game? West Ham. I don't know, but I'm in the team for a short spell.
Yeah.
Did okay. Just about 18 now, I think I was. So it was autumn 1976, autumn 1976. I'm playing. I'm not doing great. The kind of adrenaline of your first few games and done well have gone. I'm now struggling. I'm getting loads and loads of stick off the fans. Yeah, my fans, my public. But you know what? when you know your chemistry teacher and your uncle and your aunt and your next door neighbour are watching you and probably booing you, it makes the whole thing much more difficult. I got into a bad way, you know. I desperately didn't want to play. I was praying. I was running at Finch Farm today. My knee's really sore now, but I'm hanging on in there. And after I'd done the running today, I looked down at my swollen knee. I thought, where were you when I needed you back in the 70s? Where was this injury? I play with no shin pads on, never broke my leg. How unlucky can you get? Yeah. And do you know what? I remember for one game, I remember at Birmingham, you used to get changed and you'd walk from the corner flag to the halfway line underneath the stand in the dark. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I remember being in that corner, ready to do the walk of death. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? If I was getting hanged on that halfway line, I don't think I could feel any worse than I feel right now. And you'd walk up there in a procession next to the team you were playing, and it was dark, and then you'd run out at halfway, and ELO were all big blues fans, a big super group, and there was a song called Mr. Blue Sky, and you ran out into the sunlight to the first beats of that tune. Even now, if I hear that tune, I have to go and lie down. That's how bad things got. Really? And then we'd run out and be warming up, and the bloke would say, and we welcome onto the pitch now your Blue Boys, number 1, Dave Latchford, yay. Number 2, Malcolm Page, yeah. Number 3, Mickey Rathbone. Ooh, a groan of despair from the fans. And you know, when you're 18 years of age, that cuts pretty deep, mate. And you know the worst thing about it? That was my club. That was my public. They were my people. And you know what the fans are like? Yeah, we pay your wages, we'll boo if we want. I said, yeah, but you're my parents.
Yeah.
So I went through all that, mate. Nightmare. Got worse and worse and worse. I dreaded being picked. I dreaded playing. I would do anything not to play. Alf Ramsey took over. After a while, he realised that sadly I wasn't going to be the next Bobby Moore. Dropped me. What a relief. Terrible even talking about it now. To be dropped out of the team, it was unbelievable relief. And in them days, I'd put the team up the 12 on a Friday after training, like, you know, and I'd go there and I'd squint through my fingers and pray I wasn't involved. Terrible state to be. We played one game, we got beat somewhere. I played SHIT again. I was on my knees. I couldn't play football. I couldn't kick a ball straight to save my life. So we had a meeting and Jim Smith went mad at all the young players, and then the skipper, Joe Gallagher, a Scouser, Big Joe, got up, hammered all the young players, and then Jim Smith got up. He said, right, he said, I don't know, Man U or Liverpool at home on Saturday, and I'm telling you now, we need an improvement. And if any of you CUNTSs don't want to play, stay behind and tell me. Now get up and get warmed up. I thought, right, opportunity. Yeah. Now, what he said was rhetoric and not really an invitation to chat. But I thought, right, you asked for this. So I'm laughing now. It weren't funny at the time. The lads trooped out for training, and I sat there on my own, 19, 18 I was at the time. Well, what are you doing there? I said, well, you said if you don't want to play, stay behind and tell me. I never want to kick another ball. I never want to play football again in my life. I'm laughing about it now, but you imagine the state to be a fabulous young player, England Youth International, debut at 17. So I'd got an interview for a job at Dynarod. I said to Jim Smith, I've got an interview money. I want to go for that interview. I've gone from being a straight-A student, could have been a doctor, fantastic cross-country runner, fantastic athlete, 800-metre school champion at East Birmingham, played for England Youth in the first at 17. No, I'll give all that up. I'll go and clean out people's toilets now, because that's the state I got in. And you know what? Jim Smith was great. He said, Mick, I weren't Baz then. He goes, Mick, he goes, I can see you suffering. Go home, have a week at home. Let's get you on loan. I went on loan to Blackburn Rovers, a division below. That separation of 120 mile, it did the trick. Yeah. I got into my hotel and I didn't even want to play football. I couldn't care less, but I thought I've got to go anyway. You know, I'm sat there. I decided to go to the pub. I walked up to the pub, and in this pub, which is about 100 yards from where I'm sat now, there were some Rovers fans, and there was a picture of me on the back of the local paper. Rovers have signed England Schoolboy International and Child Star. All of a sudden, I'd gone there, upgraded. I'd gone there with kudos. I'd gone there, you know, way up the social scheme. They asked for my autograph. They wanted to know me. I wasn't getting booed and all that kind of stuff. And I played against Wrexham in the Championship a couple of days later. I played really well. I stayed there for 8 amazing years. The footnote to that story is Blackburn wanted Birmingham wanted £100,000 at the end of the season because I was still only 18, 19, and that, like, you know, I phoned up Jim Smith. I said, "Hey, mate, I ain't coming back to Birmingham, mate," and all that stick and grief and that and pressure. I either sell me cheap or I'm not coming back. And you know what? He was brilliant. They sold me for £40,000 in the end. The rest is history. I had the most amazing 8 years as a player at Blackburn. Met my wife. I live there now. In many kind of ways, Jim Smith saved my life. So it went from being the worst 4 years of my life, and I'm not kidding there, to getting away and being absolutely fantastic. If I fast forward about 30 years, about 10 years ago, Everton were in Spain at a training camp in Jan. Me and Josie Fiobo were doing some running on the side of the pitch, some conditioning work. Somebody shouts, "Bloody hell, there he is, the man who didn't want to play." My God, I look to my left. Jim Smith's now retired. He's living in Spain. He's come to watch us train. He's sitting in the little stand watching us and shouting that out. Then he told the story to all the players about me staying behind, not wanting to play. So that was it. I had 8 fantastic years at Blackburn, 4 fantastic years at Preston. Then you finish playing. Then you realise you should have actually stayed on at school because you've now got no qualifications, no savings, and a massive mortgage and 2 young kids. Incredible slice of luck. The PFA decided to start training ex-players to become chartered physios. I got on the course. I worked there. I went there to Manchester University, Salford University, twice a week for 4 years. Did all the clinical work in the summer. I was working at Halifax Town at the same time. God knows how I got through them 4 years, but I got through. Then I started at Preston in League Two. Moisey was a player coach, and that. We started together in the summer of '95. We had 7 unbelievable years at Preston. We both came to Everton. We had 8 unbelievable years from there. So my cup runneth over. Then I've worked for nearly every club in the country. I'm trying to get through them all. I probably won't now. And then I worked at Forest for a year. It was amazing. I lived in Nottingham. I've worked everywhere. I worked with the England teams, lots of different year groups. My first year was Raheem Sterling, and the second year was a Luke Shaw year. We won the Euros with a fantastic squad. We won the Euros in 2014 with Adam Armstrong, Solanke, Joe Gomez, Dean Henderson in goal. A 1 in 10 year special group of players: Izzy Brown, Lewis Cook, John Lundstrom. Absolute special year. Nick Powell was after that, and so was John. Sorry, get my mixed up now. We won the Euros in 2014. We beat John Lego in the team, Ron Ledson in the team, and Callum Connolly in the team, skippered by John Joe Kennedy. John Joe Kenny. And you know what? About 6 months before the finals in 2014, we had a practice match against Belgium at St George's Park. John Joe goes up for a header, lands in a heap. I know his collarbone's gone, heard the crack. I go over to him, he's looking up at me, and he goes, "Hey, Baz, lad, yous better get me fit for the finals, lad, or yous are going to be in trouble, lad." So, do you know what, John Joe? I said, "You'll score the winner for us in the final." Unbelievable. We get to the final. We're playing... our name was on that trophy, by the way. You have to go through 2 difficult qualifying groups to get to the last 8. There's only 8 in the final. We topped our group, and we played Portugal in the semis, beat them, and then we played Holland in the final. 1-1, edgy game, 20,000 on that warm summer's night in Malta. Goes to penalties. They missed a couple. John Joe marches up. If he scores, we're only Euro champions. And I said to the lads with me, if this goes in, I'm going effing mental, by the way. John Joe taps it in. As I predicted 6 months ago, we're European champions. You may think it's small potatoes, you know, when they're head of medical at Everton Football Club and at Forest and all them clubs. But I'm telling you what, when you got the Lions on, mate, it takes on a whole new meaning. We won it on that night. John Joe scored, as I predicted. We went mental. We had champagne for fun. Not the players, they're only 17. We were banging that champagne down. All the staff were crying. We got in the bus. We had to go about 8 miles back to the hotel at Melilla Bay. We walked in with the trophy. Lego and John Joe walked in holding that trophy between them. It was a holiday hotel. It's now probably early June 2014. There's probably in that big lounge, I don't know, 300 or 400 Brits holidaying, having a drink and that, like, you know, the doors open, we walked in the trophy. Everybody round the pool, round the bars, everybody got up and started clapping and cheering. I started crying, I'm telling you, mate. Little John Jones there, like, with the Lego with the trophy, and Callum and that, you know. And I thought to myself, in the difficult qualifiers, there was us, Italy, Czech Republic, and the Ukraine. That was in the Czech Republic. Only you've got to win that group to go through to the finals. I looked around, I could see Scousers everywhere. Jordan Rossiter from Liverpool. Obviously, Joe Gomez was a chart player at the time. But I'm looking around and I'm seeing Scousers everywhere, man. And I'm thinking, I'm telling you, it's nice to have your Southern boys. It's nice to have your Brummies. It's nice to... But I tell you what, you're winning now without the Scousers.
Oh, Mick, I tell you what. One thing I'll say, and I'll touch on it, is obviously you must have got quite a close connection with David Moyes, because obviously you ended up being the physio at Everton as well for a good period of time. And
David Moyes gave me everything. He gave me Premier League football, business class travel, the FA Cup final, the chance to work with Wayne. I've been to America 14 times. Me and TC had to go to Sydney twice in May. Oh, bummer. He gave me everything, that guy. At the end of it, we kind of drifted apart. After 18 years together, he kind of pulled the trigger, and I was all for that. There was no issues. We stayed really close friends and that, like, you know. In my first book, I didn't really talk about it. It was kind of the last bit at the end. In the second book, I go into a lot more detail. But trust me, David is my best mate. And Man United should have given him more time. He would have turned that club round. And I pray that West Ham do. You can't give a manager 6 months, Give him 2 years. Give him 2 years. He's showing you just a bit now. He's just got his foot under the table at West Ham. Because it's kind of his second go at it. It's probably a year he's had it now. But with Big Alan Irvine there, he's got Nolan there. I'm telling you, he'll do a great job. But give the guy a chance, please. Give him a couple of years.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think for me, David Moyes at Everton, David Moyes did an incredible job for us. If you really think about the money that Everton spent, the players that he brought through the door on very small budgets. You know, I obviously don't know the workings behind Everton, but you know, he seemed to have a great relationship with Bill Kenwright. He had a great relationship with the boardroom staff, and the players always seemed to want to play for him. And if he did bring a player in that didn't, you know, put Everton first, they just didn't get games. You know, we all know about Andy van der Meijden, we all know about Royston Drenthe. All of these players were bought in.
I'd gone by the time Royston came. Andy van der Meijden, what a guy. Jesus Christ. He used to call me his granddad. And because he had so many injuries, I was rehabbing him like all the time. Like, you know, me and Andy were really close. It was just the injuries killed him and that. Yeah. But you're right about David Moyes. That period at Everton was perfect and that. And because we had such great guys like Dave Weir, Stubbsy, Big Dunk, Wayne, Ibby, Kev Kilbane, Carzo, Tommy Grav, you name them. Even the Scotty Gemmels, who it was a bit... Yeah. That was my early years, and Unzi and Watto. You had people who loved that football club. So if you got one or two guys in who were borderline, couldn't be arsed, no, we're not having that. So if anybody come in and, you know, God, he ain't... The lads would turn on him and say, listen, you're at Everton now, mate. You need to just step it up a little bit. And all the borderline lads who maybe thought they were coming for a bit of an easy life, they all upped the game. And most of those players, they had their best years under Moyes at Everton.
Yeah, and you know, Moyes did well. We were consistently fighting for Europe. And I'll come on to Everton now. Obviously, Everton are in a very big transition period. We've spent a lot of money, and some of the players have worked and haven't worked. What do you think Everton need to do? You know, what do we need to do to get back to, you know, challenging for the league and the top four?
It's really difficult because so Everton have got a lot of money now. So obviously you're going to spend it. It would not make sense not to spend it. But that takes the club and their method of working to a slightly different level. And I'm not criticising it at all. I think certainly the guy in charge... I mean, I work with the 23s now. Yep. I did a couple of weeks with the first team in June, but I work with the 23s. I have very little working with the senior players. Yep. Obviously, I see Jordan Pickford and I see a lot of the lads. I know a lot of the lads anyway. And a lot of the lads like Tom Davis, Jordan, they've all come through the England ranks. I know them from England as well. But I know that I can smell which way's the wind blowing. When Carlo and his boys, the Italian guys, they walked in that door, they gave everybody a massive lift. Carlo doesn't know me from Adam. Having said that, when I worked with the first in the summer, he couldn't have been friendlier. The 6 guys he brought in could not have been friendlier to me, could not have been more engaging. You can see in the players' body language, the players love Carlo, they want him at the club. This is not a criticism of anybody else, because I don't work with the first team now. But I know that in this guy, they've got a shining light. They've got somebody that everybody can kind of rally behind, somebody who believes it, somebody who understands what Everton means. He's grasped immediately, this is not a run-of-the-mill football. This is something special. This is about heart and desire. The fans will allow you to kick the ball out of play every time, but make sure you run to get it back. That's all we ask. I used to say to Big Victor, like before games, Victor got very nervous. I say, Victor, you can't go wrong here. All you've got to do is go out and for 90 minutes run and push and shove and argue with the ref and get in the centre half's face. They'll let you miss 10 open goals, but just run and bully and be strong and want to play. And when Marcus Bent came, he saw that immediately. Hey, you know what? It's all about, and he's worked for them. What you're really going into that 4th place. He bought into that massively. Yeah. And like, really, I know people say the Everton fans are demanding. No, they're not. They want absolute commitment. They'll accept you giving the ball away, but come on, win it back and hurt when they score and bleed with the fans. And that's in a way, they're not. People say, oh, they're so demanding. They're not. They're just wanting to run and to try and to give it all. Yeah, if you're not great technically, they'll let you know that you're not great technically. But you know what? When you walk off at the end of the game and if you clap them and you've give everything, they'll go, you know what? You're SHIT, lad, but we'll have you all day long.
Yeah.
And I've worked at loads of clubs now. I worked at Man U for 2 years with the young players in a kind of sports psychology way. And I don't know the ins and outs of Man United. I worked at Forest. Forest was amazing. It was a bit like Everton. I've played for Preston, Blackburn, Birmingham, but there's nothing like Everton. And, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. It's subjective. It was me going to the top level. It was Wayne. It was the big bucks. It was the big games. It was the cup final. It was the top 4. So for me, it was magical anyway, subjectively. But if you speak to anybody, if you speak to... I've been with Franny and Unzi today and Ebbs and that, and this is more than a club to us, you know. And I'm not trying to wear my heart myself. I never played for Everton. But there's something special about that football club for me. Now, I'm sure Crawley's seen ticket all. I worked at Crawley for a couple of weeks with the physio. I worked at loads of clubs. I'll work at Everton, I'll work at Man U, I'll work at Crawley, I'll work at Halifax in the conference. They're all the same to me. But there's something special about Everton. There's a depth to it that, you know, I've not really seen elsewhere. And other people might say, rubbish, it's just... And I'll say, you're probably right. But to me, subjectively, there's something special about the club. And it's the history, it's the Dixie Dean, it's the shirt, it's the Rupert's Tower, it's even the Windsor Hotel, and it's all the dog shit walking up to the dressing rooms on that road. You know where it is. There's something about it that, you know, I don't know, it's the suffering almost, like, you know, I don't know. It's the whole package that makes it feel special, like, you know. So I would say to, you know, the long-suffering fans, you're really lucky to support Everton. You may not think it, but you're lucky because you get to live that 90 minutes. Yeah, it's mainly agony, but you're alive, mate. In them 90 minutes on a Saturday, you are alive.
Yeah, it seems to be a different world, you know. Whenever we've had somebody on, or whenever we've spoken to, and I've spoken to a few of the players in the past, and I'm quite close to Jose Baxter. I'm quite close to Jose. Obviously, he's in America. Very, very talented young man. He was. Good.
My friend of mine, he came up with Jack Rodwell, and he was in that kind of year group with James Wallace, who I still see about. He's a scout now for Fleetwood.
Yeah.
So those lads, I can see him now in the under-23s dressing room, nervously being pulled up to train with the first team. Like, Yeah, good guy, Josie.
Yeah, and he basically said there is nowhere like Everton. You know, obviously he'd played for Oldham and he'd gone over to the States and things, but you know, one of the big things he always talks about is his debut when he come on and he had the opportunity to score, and he was very pro. He was very pro. He's just very pro being around Everton and everything to do with Everton, and he always talks about the coaching staff as family. You know, he never talks about, you know, he would never say, you know, I was talking to, you know, Unsworth, for example, and then somebody said something completely different. Everyone seemed to stick together and support the cause, which was getting Everton to the top of the league or fighting for certain positions.
There's a depth of feeling for the club. There's no doubt about it. It's a big, small club. It's a massive club, but it's a small club as well. It's fantastic. Look, I've gone back there again. Like, you know, I'm very lucky. I had to get to work for them twice. Bloody hell! I've been there this morning. I'm lucky. I've got the kit on now, only because we obviously can't get changed there now.
No,
just got home. But yeah, it's something special about the club. And in terms of you know, you might think recruitment's not been great, but it's not. You know, there's some good players at the club. You look at, you know, I think they're trying to bring the age down a little bit, you know, make it a younger team and that. And if you look at a lot of the lads now, they're under 25, you know, they're going in the right direction. Wolves have spent a fortune. Leicester spend, you know, it's getting harder and harder. Maybe you need to spend this kind of money to almost stand still. You know, so it's becoming more. Leeds will come up and spend quite a lot of money. Villa spent 100 million to nearly get relegated. It's getting more and more difficult, like, you know. But, you know, if you look at like Jared and Anthony Gordon's gone into the team, and you look at Big Ellis coming through, and you know, there's a couple of lads now coming through, and so we in the academy excited too, you know. And I think Carlo sees a progression with other managers. I weren't there then in the academy. Other managers maybe less so, but from our point of view, we certainly now, with Yared playing and doing great, and Anthony Gordon playing and doing really well, and seeing Kyle on the bench and Ellis on the bench, and you know, we see now that, you know, all of a sudden it seems to be joining up more, you know. So it's a great time for us as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously there is some extremely talented young lads. I was screaming for. I'm not going to talk about the centre of Everton's midfield too much because I don't like talking about the centre of Everton's midfield. But we've got some incredibly good young lads in that position. Players like Benny Beningame. I'm a massive fan of Dennis Adrian. I think he looks an absolutely phenomenal player. What sort of things should we be excited about from the young lads?
Those two players are terrific. They're very, very different players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Benny's like a throwback. Benny's a lovely, clever little midfield player. Sees a pass, breaks up play. Rarely passes the ball more than 10 yards. Just a very clever player. Very good at regaining possession. Then Unzi started chucking him up on the right of midfield and that, and he's picking up the ball and running 50 yards and banging it in the net and that. So as I say, from our point of view, we see a big progression now, and we see a lot of really good young players. That we've started with the new lads last week now. And we look at like Tyler coming through, Mackenzie Hunt, and Ryan Astley and Aina, and I don't want to say names because I'll miss names off. But all of them now, you think, yeah, he's got a chance. Yeah, he's got a chance. But you know, I think now, you know, Carlo's looking over the fence and down our way. You know, and it helped the young lads in a way that because we came back for the last 10 games and maybe there weren't loads to play for after the defeat at Spurs, it allowed him to play some of the young players and that. And when managers are under pressure, it's harder to do so. And because Carlo's such a class act and he's so solid in his role, he could let lads have a go. And it's for them lads to take the opportunity. So the last thing you want is Jared to play and look a million miles away, or Anthony Gordon to play and look a million miles away. So for them lads to go into the team and both do so well, it's really encouraging for all of us at the academy. It kind of makes it all worthwhile. yeah, we go to get paid and that, like, but I don't want to drive a 100-mile round trip every day if none of the lads I work with are ever going to play in the first team.
Yeah.
I want to go to Goodison and I want to see Kyle John play for the first team, because I've spent a lot of time with Kyle when he's had injuries. I've spent a lot of time joking with him, talking to him, trying to get him through his practical, his theory driving, big computer. So I've invested a lot of care and time and personal time into Kyle. I like him. I want to see him do well. As with all the players, I want to be at Goodison when them players play. You know, I don't want them to all get to 18 and get released. You know, we want that. Otherwise, you know, I like the job on a personal basis, driving in, getting changed, running around with the injured players, and that it's great, and getting paid at the end of the month. But you know, I could probably do that a lot closer to home. I want that success professionally. I want the players that me and Joe and the Doc and Onzi and Ebbs and Franny and Kev O'Brien and that and Ben, the lad who looks after the equipment. I want us all to be sat there when Ellie scores his first goal, like I was when Vaughan scored his first goal. You know, we want to be part of that, not so we can get praise, but want to feel like, you know, we're having an impact, you know, albeit a small impact. You know, we're not scoring the goals and that. But when I look at Jared, was a really good signing. It was great recruitment. Yeah. So whoever spotted him after 6 games at Carlisle and bought him, well done. He was raw as can be. So Unzi got hold of him and just shaved the edges off him in the 23 games. So well done to the coaching staff. Jay's a fitness guy, has got him working a bit smarter, a bit stronger, a little bit quicker over 10 yards with his drills. So, you know, we've all played a tiny, tiny part. You know, the players done 95% of the work, but with the recruitment and Unzi and his coaching staff and the sports science and that, maybe we've added a couple of percent here and there as well. So we're proud to see him play, and we feel, albeit a small part of that. So when he goes and plays at, was it Sheffield who played particularly well, I think it was, you know, I'm proud of my tiny part, you know, and I know that, you know, Ben, who does all the kit and that, Ben Parsley, you know, he puts his kit out every day, so he's proud as well, and Jaycee's proud because he does his gym program. And, you know, we're all proud and pleased for him, and we've all played a tiny little part as well. And I think with Carlo now, you would think Carlo is here, you know, to stay. It's important a manager does stay. I do understand if any manager loses 20 games, you're out of a job. But Carlo's kind of the start of something prolonged where we can build a base and a style of play around it. So it is really exciting times.
Yeah, and I think that does flow through the club. I think some of the fans, I think it's very early, but I think some of the fans are frustrated that signings haven't come in yet. But I think Everton aren't the only team to be, you know, slow in terms of recruitment. And I don't think it's slow. I think it's the fact that, you know, ordinarily we'd have only just finished the season and we'd be midway through probably pre-season by now. And I think actually the season would be starting.
It is weird, but I think it's measured. I think they've got an idea of what they need. Yeah. Obviously, the manager's coming now and he's had, I don't know, 20, 25, 24 games to look at what he's got and that, so he'll have a better idea. And, you know, I think they want to, as much as you can, try and make sure. Yeah. You know, recruitment is very difficult. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yeah. So I don't envy the recruiters.
Yeah, and just to finish, Mick, because obviously, funny story to this, and obviously everyone watching the channel, and you all know what I'm like, I'm quite straight. I actually was late for Mick. So I'm not going to keep him too much longer. But one of the things I wanted to ask, have you got any funny stories you could share with us, you know, from any of the players or any of the experience you've had anywhere that you think, that people might laugh at that?
Yeah, most you couldn't share. But like when I first, you know, like when I first got invited to go to Everton, I was a bit scared because I'd worked my way up the divisions. I was now sat at the top of the Championship with Preston, and then it was about going the next step up. Yeah. And all the players at Preston were saying, "Oh, don't go, Baz. We've heard that the players in the Premier League are horrible and they hate the physio. We've heard that Big Duncan Ferguson hates physios." Well, you have to go. You have to go for your family. You have to go for your personal development. But I'm telling you, when I sat in Belfield car park, July 2002, my first day, I was scared, mate. Anyway, it was a really hot day. I'll never forget it. But I sat in the car for about 10 minutes. Then I thought, look, come on, stick your chest out. This is for your wife and kids. Do it. I opened the door, walked across the car park. It was a hot day. I had some denims on and a yellow check shirt and a denim jacket. I went into Belford and I stood in the foyer, nervous, scared. I then heard a big, booming Scottish voice shouting, by the way, have you clocked the physio? It's Bob the effing builder. Oh, my God. The door flies open. There he is, 6'4", no shirt on, just shorts. He comes walking, swaggering up to me. He comes, big dunk. He puts his face in my face. He goes, I'm Big Dunk. I've finished a few physios' careers. I said, hi, I'm Baz. Unfortunately, I've finished a few players' careers. He puts his face closer to mine. He goes, brilliant. I like your banter. I think we're going to get on. I said, well, that's just as well because you spend your time in the medical room, I've heard. And he smiled and went, brilliant, pal. And he walked away. Then Kevin Campbell came out and he came up to me and he went, I'm club captain Kev Campbell. Heard a lot about you, Baz. Everyone's really excited. Looking forward to working with you. Welcome to the club. And that was it, mate. I was in. And I'm telling you, I put it was light blue, the training kit, with a bit of like kind of brown trim in them days, like Kedsian. And I remember I put my training kit on and I couldn't believe it. I went, when all the lads had gone that first day, I was running on the treadmill in the gym and I kept looking in the big mirror ahead of me and it's got MR, obviously Mick Rathbone, and it's got Everton, it's got the badge and the slogan and that. And I thought, oh my God, it does not get any better than that. No. So that was my first introduction to the club off Big Dunk.
Yeah, you see, that's everyone's dream. You know, as I say, playing football when I was 15, I wanted to do my coaching badges and I wanted to go everywhere. But you are right. I think for the young, you know, for that generation, when it's a real struggle to get into football at that level. So you've done incredibly well and you've done it consistently, and it's great to see that you're back at Everton with the younger lads now, because, you know, the experience that you've got through, you know, working with the first team and those funny stories that you've got with Duncan, and obviously now he's part of the first team plans, and, you know, he will no doubt, in my opinion, manage Everton on a permanent basis in the future. I really hope he does.
He's a very impressive guy.
He is, and one of the things that I'd say, we actually, I'm pretty sure we met. So 2005, 2006, Everton went away to West Brom. Moyes was in charge. It was the season we got knocked out of the Champions League by Villarreal, and I was the mascot for Everton. And it was funny because I'd been sent this Everton kit and I'd been given the white shorts, but we were playing in the blue shorts. And I'm sure it was you who ran out of the first team dressing room and went, "You're in the wrong shorts," but you were so brummy. And you threw me. I think it was James Beattie's spare shorts.
That's the thing I would do.
Yeah, he threw me his shorts. So I remember lining up, and I remember James coming over to me, or David Weir actually coming over to me and going, "You may as well start up front because he's not scoring today." It was one of the funniest things that, you know, I think I'd heard at the time. It was.
We used to have such a. When I first went there, oh my God, it was a different era for football as well. Steve Watson, Jesus. I'd been at the club about, I don't know, 2 weeks, and I'm very fashion conscious, and had a really nice, like mustard and blue checked Armani shirt. Okay. And I wore the shirt, got changed, put my training kit on, and then Watto said, "Baz, Sue Palmer's got somebody on the phone in reception. Sue Palmer's shouting, go and get this phone call." I went through to reception. I came back 5 minutes later. Watto and Gary Naismith had gone to the considerable trouble of laying a table using my shirt as a tablecloth. There was a candle, knife, fork, salt, pepper. It was absolutely hilarious. And Gary Naismith says, "Baz, you've been warned. Don't wear that shirt again." I thought, okay, but I am, because I like that shirt. It was bloody expensive. I let it die down for 6 weeks, wore the shirt again. I'm outside, it's pouring me rain, it was really muddy. And me and Gary Naismith are doing some late stage rehab. So we did a load of running. We were both knackered and that, like, you know. And Gary goes, "Is that it?" He goes, "Yeah, that's it. You finished the last run." He goes, "Great." And I could see all the players stuck at the bottom watching me and Gary. Gary goes, "Whoa, I'm hot." He takes his club sweatshirt off. He's got my shirt on underneath. He's been training in my Armani check shirt. All the lads are laughing and clapping. He then does a belly slide through the mud in my shirt. D-Bad, I told you not to wear it again, pal. Mate, there's so many stories, mate. Once, there was a home game. I was in the home team dressing room. All the players are sat round at 2 o'clock waiting for Moyes and Al to give the team talk. And they were in the room next door. So Watto goes, "Baz, give the team talk." So I went up to the board and there were like loads of jelly babies. I said, right, I started sticking them on the board. I said, right, we'll have the green ones along the back, the reds in midfield, the yellows up front, the blacks on the bench. And Josie Fiobo and Kevin Campbell went, "Oh my God, Baz, you racist." Oh my God. You can't believe that. And the lads were like, "Baz, of all people." It was really funny. Anyway, then Moisey came in and started doing the talk and I went into the medical room next door. Anyway, when the talk was over, I came back into the dressing room and Watto went over to my run-on bag and went, lads, look what I found." He goes in my run-on bag. He'd got a pillowcase. He'd cut the eyes out and he put it on his head and went, "Oh my God, Baz, I don't believe it." Like, you know.
Oh God, Baz.
Unbelievable. Oh. Mate, we had so many laughs. Oh my God. Great days.
Thank you ever so much for joining me, Mick. Baz, just a legend. I promise you, I owe you a pint. Me and John both owe you a pint. We have said that. So
well, when the next one of our conveyor belt make a first team appearance, I'll meet you an hour before the kick-off in the Wilmslow and I'll buy the drinks.
I'm absolutely all for that, mate.
That is an absolute promise, mate.
Well, mate, I won't just hold you to it. I'll buy the second round, don't you worry.
Okay.
Mick, thank you ever so much. Is there anything you wanna finish with the Everton fans that are watching this?
No, just keep they always keep the faith, don't they? They turn out in the droves. One of my great memories from my first year was pulling into every away game, even Charlton, even Southampton. And as a bus, the Everton bus, which was blue in them days, with Everton written on the side, as soon as it pulled in within West Ham half a mile, all you could see, wall-to-wall Everton fans. I'll never forget that. As that bus made the last 400 metres to whatever ground, surrounded by Everton fans, and you would think you were at Goodison Park. Same at Villarreal. At the FA Cup final, oh my God, I was sat with the old Doc, and as we come onto Wembley Way, there wasn't a Chelsea fan to be seen. Me and the Doc particularly, had been with the club for we both filled up. It was absolute heart-stopping stuff, mate. You could not see a Chelsea fan. Unbelievable. No. And I remember that night at Villarreal, me and Jimmy Coleman going out to the narrative for like the 4 weeks before, no tickets, 800 tickets, that's all you're getting. Me and Jimmy went out and for the kick-off, all around the ground, every corner, Everton fans, and Jimmy's got the tattoos, mate. He was like sniffing and coughing, and he had the old must be allergic to something. I think it's a bit of hay fever. Yeah, okay, Jim. I'll let you off with this one, mate. Yeah, great times, mate. Blessed.
Brilliant. Well, Mick, thank you ever so much, mate. I'm really grateful, and you're always welcome on the channel, mate. Sharing whatever you want. We'll have John on next time. So thank you ever so much.
I've got the garden shears up my nose. It was an accident, so I've just got to go and see what damage I've done there. There you go.
You're still much better looking than I am, mate. I shall see you soon. I'll send you the link to the video.
Seriously, God help you then.
I'll send you the link to the video, Mick. Thank you ever so much, and I'll see you soon.
See you later, mate. Bye.
I look at people and I wonder all day, who are you and you are not the one in your way. And then I think about myself and I stayed. I'm a pretty boss, look on my shit bright waist. I'm a freak in the sheets, but I got clothes.